Live streaming is on.
Greetings and welcome to Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I will be your host this evening. Now we do these Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts every Monday evening and Friday evening at 6:45. That's when we start Pacific Standard Time. So if you happen to watch the replays and you'd like to come in live, they start on Monday and Friday, but you must be a member of Stunt Hangar to find the link. But anyways, I just wanted to make that announcement because I have more replays than I have people who come in. So just in case you'd like to catch it in real time and be able to contribute, that's when it actually happens. Now here at Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes. We talk about sport flying and we talk about competition flying. We talk about what you've done in your shop or what you've done at the flying field lately. Now, to join our conversations, if you are already a member of Stunt Hangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky, the proprietor of Stunt Hangar, will not approve you. Now, if you're not inclined to want to come in and just enjoy listening while you're maybe working on a plane or in your shop, that's fine, great. Now, but if you want to, you can still be a part of the show by submitting your questions and comments in the chat box. Okay, and I will do my best to make that part of the show. Now, sometimes we have moved on, and it's even hard for me, even as the host, sometimes to get a word in edgewise. So bear with me. I will put your comment in the conversation. Now, if you find Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts or the many building videos that Sparky does on this platform informative and enjoyable, please support us. We greatly need it. We'd like to have you subscribe and share the videos, and please like the videos as well. Now, to go to another level, if you would become a member of our YouTube channel, the membership starts at $4.99 a month, and that's only 17 cents a day. And your support will help offset the cost of running Stunt Hangar. And with your memberships, you'll get special badges in the chat box. I'll be able to tell when I'm looking at the chat box, you'll have a special badge. And I'll know you are a member, and we greatly appreciate you. Now, as a member, you also get unlimited replay of the members-only videos. They're done on the Stunt Hangar forum, on the YouTube channel. But there are also some movies that Sparky has uploaded that you won't find anywhere else. So it's really worthwhile. Now, you also can show your support by your super chat. That's the big dollar sign underneath on the bottom of the chat box. If you look at the YouTube channel, you'll see it in the bottom right corner. And also, speaking of the YouTube side, there's a join button. You just hit that, and a subscribe button as well. Now, I'd like to ask you to please keep your conversations family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words you wouldn't say around your children or grandchildren. Now, I'm about to post the link, so I'm looking on a different monitor. Let me get my cursor over there, and I'm going to post the link. Bear with me just a second. Okay, and this is how people get in. So, okay, I just posted it. So I posted it at the Stunt Hangar forum. At the bench, you'll see this link, and that's how people get in. Now, if you're subscribed to the channel, then you will get notification. So when you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell and select all notifications so that you will be aware of that we have something going on or Sparky is doing something. And speaking of Sparky, this weekend I actually watch Sparky's videos as much as I can. I sometimes I pick up things not even from him actually building, but just from him and John Jordan and them talking. They'll talk about something which might seem very minimal, but it's like, wow, I didn't know that, And so I'm always curious what's going on the weekends. And then Sparky has, I think he does it on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights. He just doesn't do it. Usually doesn't do it on Monday nights when we meet, and on Friday nights. But there's any other time he could be there. And even during the when he's back home in St. Louis, it could be any time day of the week when he's not working. So get that notification bell so you won't miss the video. And when you're doing it live, you can actually put a question. Again, Sparky's also very curious what's going on in the chat box. He's always seeing if anyone has anything to say. So be a great chance to real time while he's doing something. Ask him how did he do that, or why did he do that, or how come he doesn't do that. That's sometimes you can learn a lot by what someone doesn't do as well as what they do, right? So, anyways, I am looking forward to out here in California. We have a little bit of a problem as far as flying. It's advised to stay at home unless it's essential, and I know that flying model airplanes is essential for my sanity, but I don't know if other people would deem it essential. So I've been very careful about going out flying, but I hope to break away so I can report on the impact that I've been working on and how it flies, and the Chipmunk that I've had about 5 or 6 flights on that, and I don't remember how either one of those planes flew. So I look forward to getting back out there and flying again. And I brought out something. I have a guest. Hey, what's up, Santa Claus?
Not much. Just got back from a Christmas party at my church.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we did a drive-through with Santa, so we avoid any COVID restrictions that way. And it was fun. I had about 200, 250 kids come through.
Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
More fun than a man should legally be allowed to have.
Yeah. I think we have a lot of fun on this show. I think we pretty much almost have too much fun. That should be allowed. I think this platform is great. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. It's nice. I mean, you never know. It's like, what do they say? What is it? Oh, what Forrest Gump used to say, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Yes, I've always loved those boxes of chocolates. I love anything with coconut, so I love the coconut variety. But have you done anything in your shop as far as model airplanes?
Not in the shop. I've been concentrating on the drawing so I can get the parts pattern sheet so I can cut the parts. Somebody came by and brought me some of my favorite candy. Those chocolate covered, those orange sticks.
Let me click on you. Huh. I don't think I've ever had one.
Oh, you're missing out on something.
It's an orange stick, you said?
It's more like a cigar.
Just read it back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, they're good.
I've never had one. That's amazing.
Oh, you are deprived.
I know. It's so difficult for me.
I know.
Hey, and Bill.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
And Eddie, how you doing?
Good.
Eddie, do you prefer me to say Ed or Eddie, or does it matter?
Eddie. And
Eddie.
It's Suter.
Okay. Suter.
Yeah.
All right.
He's Suter. Some people say Sutter, but it's actually Suter.
All right, Eddie Suter.
Ed, and Eddie, I don't care.
All right. Well, I have a cousin. His name is Eddie, and actually he's in a coma. So when I see your name, it's an affinity, it's a fondness to it, because I can't help but think about my cousin. He's been in a coma for over a year. He went into coma November 3rd last year.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, he fell off a ladder. And that's what happened.
Well,
Hey, Jim and Peter, how you guys doing?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it.
No problem.
yeah. Let me do it real quick before everybody jumps on. There's my repair job compared to what
Wow.
it was
Don't
last
look
time.
bad at all.
No,
Yeah,
it's got
looks
one.
good.
It's got one little hickey right there, but I can live with that.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
nice.
It's better than that big hole that was in it.
And
Yeah,
that's a
okay.
user 2, right?
Now all I got to do is just get rid of that big hole.
Yeah. Is that a tutor 2 or a tutor 1? I'm trying to
It's
remember.
two.
Tutor 2? Oh, very good. That's a good flying airplane.
Man, I love it. When I first put it together, and I started with the controls, and I mean, there's not but that much, elevator up and down. I'm like, there ain't no way this thing's gonna fly. But man, it proved me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my tutor 2 hanging up on the wall here. It's kind of out of sight, but it's right to my left, hanging up on the wall. And it is a good flying plane. I actually, on my YouTube video, Flying Control Line Stunt, you go there and you go through some of the videos. I have a video of me flying my tutor 2.
Really?
Yeah, it's a pretty good video. I did the full pattern, the whole bit.
Yeah, I like it. It flies. I got a LA-46 on it, and it flies great. Stock. I didn't do nothing to it.
Yeah, that's basically what I had too on mine is a stock 46 LA.
And
Hey, Gerald,
I got a
I have
stock.
I have below your glasses and your nose down. You might want to tilt your camera up a little bit.
Oh, there you are.
Ah,
There we go.
I got a 46. I'm gonna put on that P47, the Brodeck, the one I got from Lunky.
P40 or P47?
P40. I mean,
Okay.
the Brodeck
That's
40.
good. That's another good flying plane. Those are two of my best flying profiles. Is the P40 from Brodak and the Tutor 2.
Yeah.
I actually like flying the P40 more than anything else, just because I enjoy the silhouette of the plane. It looks like a real airplane. All my other airplanes are like fantasy
Yeah.
silhouettes. They don't look like a real airplane, but the P40,
Now,
it looks like a real plane.
was yours an ARF?
Yes.
Okay. The covering on it, is that one piece monocoat, or is it overlaid with the camo pattern?
It looks like it's overlaid with the camo pattern, because I can see how some of it's shrunk up on top of one another. So it's
I was
laminated.
wondering if they actually had that covering made for them, and as one a solid color.
Yeah, that would be neat if it did that, but no, it's
Well, I've seen camo covering, but it's not the large pattern like that. It was more of a woodland type, camo. It wasn't the military plane camo.
okay.
I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was. Have y'all heard of AliExpress? It's kind of like Wish. Okay. Well, be wary of what you buy from them,
Absolutely.
because I got this. I got two colors from them. One of them was, if I can reach it without knocking everything over. It was green, and it said golden.
Oh, okay.
Here's the green.
That's okay.
Okay. Here's the golden.
Kind of like a bronze color, huh?
It's bronze all the way, copper or whatever. I'm like, this is not golden.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe it got lost in the translation.
I don't know, but it's Chinese covering. I'm gonna try it. It was pretty cheap, but I don't know. But yeah, there was one company on there that had the camouflage covering, and I'm like, That'd be pretty cool if it was actually what I wanted, but I'm
Yeah.
afraid it's not going to be what I want. So
Oh, I didn't know AliExpress sold that kind of stuff. I had no idea. I saw
well,
their miniature lathes. I mean,
yeah.
I'd be curious about that.
Well, I got that pretty quick. I got it probably. It probably took 8 weeks
All right.
from
Yeah.
China, and then I'm still waiting on some balsa wood I ordered from a company off there to try it out, and it's been 92 days now. So
Wow.
I'm thinking I'm gonna have to. It said to contact them if it hadn't got there by the end of November. So I gotta contact them. But you go to AliExpress page and on your phone. I hadn't done it on the computer, but there's no support. No, there's nowhere to go to support. No contact, no help support, nothing like that. You just go straight to kind of like Wish. It's just you're there. So I got to get online to see if I can contact them to get my money back on it.
Yeah.
I ordered some covering, some monocoat from a place out of Illinois, and ended up having to get my money back on it because I waited 2 months on it.
Wow.
And I never got it, so I had to call and get a refund from eBay on it because the seller would never contact me. I ordered some more out of Illinois from a different person, and it's been 13 days now. I ordered some props from a guy in California Friday, the 18th. I checked it just a while ago. They're in Nashville today. I'm like, really? How can it get from California to Nashville in 5 days, and it takes 13 days, and it's still in Illinois? You know,
Yeah.
I think there's only one post office in Illinois working right now.
Yeah, it's you have to give it a little bit of slack because I'm having the same problem.
Yeah.
But it's the Christmas holidays. Everybody shipping stuff.
I ordered from Brodak and got it in 3 days. Brodak's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
they're shipping. I think they got their own mail couriers or something because there's no way you can get it there that quick. They're using Santa Claus or something.
Yeah.
The only objection I have with Brodak is if you need something, it's a couple of small items, even let's say your 440 nuts or some other small odds and ends, they still charge you like $13 shipping.
That $15 shipping sucks.
Yeah. That's the only problem I see with them.
I have a message from Santa Claus. Mike Lonke says, watching the show in the kitchen while I make cookies with Emma, and she saw Santa and said, "That's so cool. He flies things like you and Sam."
Hi, Emma.
See,
big,
tell her, Daddy knows Santa. Daddy knows Santa.
You want to make a shout out to Emma?
Hey, Emma. Merry Christmas to you. Don't beat up on your old man too much. I know you shoot better than he does.
There you go, Mike. And welcome to the show, Mike. Thanks for coming in on the chat. I appreciate it.
So I have something to show.
All right, Bill.
I kind of got into collecting these little engines. Okay Cubs.
Oh, wow.
One guy gave me 2 of them. And I did run one of them. And then this one here I ordered through eBay, and that took quite a while, but I got it. That's a Cub X. I guess that's the one they put in the fire babies.
Interesting. Now, how is the glow plug? Is it a glow plug itself, or is the whole like a head? Is the head to screw in with the
It's a regular glow plug, a short one.
Oh, okay.
I got the same thing on my Leonard Skinner here.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I have a 049 with the modified head, so you can just put regular glow plugs in.
And this is an Atwood 049.
Oh, wow.
What kind of using? An Atwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look neat. They're very compact.
So I ran one of the OK Cubs, and I got it started in that. It sure doesn't have a very big Venturi. I guess they aren't real powerful, but it seemed like in their time they were a cheap motor, and a lot of kids had them. You know, that's what they could afford. And then when Cox came out, they pretty much, I think, killed them.
Oh.
You know, back when I was a kid, the half A I wanted the most, and never to this day have ever had one, was the old Holland Hornet.
And I've heard the Holland Hornet is as powerful as the TD-049.
That's right. It was the preferred free flight engine of the day.
So you're gonna buy some more of those, Bill, or you're done collecting?
Oh, I don't know. Tonight I bought a Spitzy 045.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spitzy.
Never did run it. I don't know what happened to it, but I had one.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah,
like the little windmill. Yeah, there's some really neat 49s. Yeah, the Coxes did kill them off, but yeah, they were prolific through the 50s and the early 60s. And I've got quite a few of the little Winmac 049s, and they're a great little motor. I like the fact that they're easy to choke and they're very easy to run.
Yeah.
And
those Winmacs used to be in some kind of a model that you could buy. And so it was kind of like Cox, you know, they had all their planes.
Yeah.
Somebody made some kind of plane that came with Winmacs. And they were pretty good running engines.
I believe Testers had some with those engines in them.
Yeah, the Testers Winmac were all sort of connected at the end. I think Testers bought them up. But what was the other one? Aurora, I think, hooked up with them. But yeah, the little plastic ready flyers, you could still buy them up into the 70s. There were quite a lot of them around here too. We had some that were locally made by, I think, by Toll Toys, and they had little Winmac engines in them. But yeah, they started well, and they went quite well for a small engine. They were easy to operate. It was the Baby Bees. The hard thing, I think, was for people to get the fuel to go through the tank, through the little bit of tubing, because you couldn't choke them. It was being patient with the Baby Bees. I found that hard as a kid, trying to get that first start. And once you got the fuel through them, they started easily.
Yeah, and then of course you had the little spring sucker on there that would whack your finger, and I had more damage done to my fingers with little Cox engines than anything else.
I was reading
Like
some of the
little
comments
razor
on the Cubs, and people said that, you know, they'd control lines, they'd barely get off the ground, and then they'd kind of have to whip it once they got in the air.
Well, you know, the plane that I learned to fly on, a buddy of mine, Bob Sullivan, year older than me, he had one. It was made by, I believe, KMB. It was a flying wing, a Delta flying wing made out of aluminum. They folded it around the form, folded it over, and it had an elevator, and it had a little rudder on it, and it had landing gear on it. And they used a, I believe, a Winmac engine on it. And we went out and we spent the entire day in a cul-de-sac trying to learn how to fly. And I can't tell you how many figure nines or whatever we did into that asphalt. And that thing, all we did was broke props. We had to send his mother down to the store to get a whole bunch of props because we broke all that he had. But we finally realized that after he gets off the ground, you don't keep holding up. You give it. And once we learned to do that, then we were able to go round circle. But that was one tough little airplane. And I remember seeing ads for it when I was a kid, but I haven't seen anybody ever put one up on eBay, or never seen another one since I learned to fly on that one.
Wow.
My first plane was a Goldberg Swordsman.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good plane. Hey, Jim, you trying to say something, Jim? Go ahead, Jim.
What?
I thought you was trying to say something earlier.
Oh, no. Well, just about Aurora. Didn't Aurora make some model airplanes that they used to put the WinMax in?
They did. The Comet. The Comet was one of them.
It might be, but I know the hobby shops here in Florida, they would mostly sell Cox, but they did sell some Aurora stuff, and they had some pretty interesting stuff. Most of those planes weren't very good flyers, though. They were just, you know, they make them out of plastic, and they weren't.
They weren't tough.
No, they were heavy, you know. So they had some that would barely get off the ground.
The traditional rock on a string.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them flew better than others. My mother got me for my birthday when I was 15, I think it was. She got me the Cox ME 109 Super Stunter, and that had the big hollow foam wings. It was like a 30-inch span. It flew very well. It was
the foam one. They made a Chipmunk too, I think.
Yeah, they're very similar platform.
Was, foam, and those flew nice. They were good. But those plastic ones were rough.
Yeah.
Well,
some of them
fly on a
they didn't go a little too high because you never get it to pull back out on the other side of the circle.
The all-time probably greatest half-8 trainer was the old Cox PT-19, and its claim to fame is you really had to dork it in really bad for the plastic would break.
Yeah,
you know, the plastic was softer. I mean, that you might have some trouble with the elevator because it was thin there where the hinges were, but the wings and the fuselage and all that, and you could adjust the incidence on the engine for down, straight ahead, you know. Yeah.
And used all the rubber bands to hold everything together, so it was pretty much busted. If you're on grass, it was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pavement, it wasn't quite as forgiving.
Yeah.
I have anything. Some of those models are getting.
From Mike Lonke, he says, Emma saw John shout out. Thank you for that, Santa Miller. She still believes.
Tell him the last name is Claus. Tonight it's Claus. What were we going to say, Jim?
Oh, did you get those?
I got them.
Steve. Hey, I got a good experiment for you, Steve.
All right.
What you want to do is when you get your next plane in primer, like gray primer or something like that, take one of your tack cloths, because as soon as I get mine in primer, I'm going to try it too. And once you do all your sanding on the primer and you're ready to clean everything off, use one of those tack rags you have, which they are really good, and clean it all off as good as you can. And then take the surgical blue and run it over and see if you get some gray.
Okay.
And that'll tell you whether it's picking up more. Now, initially, it will pick it up because when you open one of those, I told you, they feel real sticky.
Yeah.
But if you read the package, it tells you what it's for. It's for automotive finishing.
Yeah.
So they don't want anything on there when they're done. And they don't worry about any kind of residue. And I think the residue goes away. You know, when you first do it, you can feel it. But just keep using that sucker, man. I've used one for a year, and that thing is just dirty ass gray, but it still just picks up like a son of a gun.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't have any stick left in it at all, and it still picks up real good. So you'll have to tell me how your experiment goes, and I'll tell you how mine goes.
All righty.
Gerald was trying to say something there, Charles.
Thank you, John. Go ahead, Gerald.
Oh, yeah, I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry about that.
Come on, Gerald, you're not as old as the rest of us. You can't be hurting the head early.
It happens to all of us sometimes, Gerald.
Yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, I have to default to my sons quite often these days. What am I supposed to do? What am I doing?
Yeah. What I come in here for?
Yeah, a friend of mine sent me a picture on Facebook, and it's a guy standing at the bottom of the stairs looking up. And there's like a little balloon up there that says, "Was I going upstairs for something, or did I just come downstairs for something?"
Oh, that's a bad case of CRS.
Well, it's like that joke, three old men. One of them says, says, "It's getting bad." Says, like I say, I go to the refrigerator, open the door, and I can't remember if I was just putting something up or taking something out.
Yeah.
I guess, well, that's man. He says, I get to the bottom of the stairs and I can't remember if I just came down them or was fixing to go up them. Another guy says, man, you guys are getting old. He says, I hope I don't get like you guys when I get old, knock on wood. Come in.
Very good. I have a question for everybody. I've been curious about these handles. I've been using them, but I'm wondering if there's something that I don't know, because you only know what you know, and sometimes you don't know that you don't know. And the question is as far as the distance between them, is there something these handles can do that maybe most people don't realize? As far as I think this is a little bit crooked right now. It's not totally vertical.
You can make it biased or non-biased.
And what would that do for somebody?
I don't know.
You learn some bad habits flying up biased and biased.
Yeah, it'd mess them up.
Yeah. Don't want any bias in your handle as far as I'm concerned.
No, not really. And also, I'll get something I'll show you.
All right.
I've been trying to buy some on eBay, but people keep outbidding me.
Some of the handles have got
one of the
things into them.
You'll notice that little
weird.
Go ahead, Gerald. Sorry. And John, you're next.
So I was just going to say, some of the handles you buy do have a bias in them, and it sort of feels comfortable in some ways, but you don't feel you're getting the same amount of movement up and down. You might have more movement on up than you do on down, just because of the way you go. Where it is more straightforward just to have no bias. And that way you can pick up any handle and it doesn't feel peculiar.
The only purpose I could see in having that is if for some physical reason you can't turn your wrist one way further than you can the other, it would give you that equal movement. I don't know. I don't use them, so I don't know.
The advantage of that handle, Charles, is that little thumb screw up there. You can adjust for neutral while you're in flight by making it longer or short. But you don't want to get used to flying that. You want to get back, put it back to where it's biased and adjust your line.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I suppose it's similar to adjusting the trims on a radio control unit and forgetting that you've adjusted the trims. You're best to do it at the control system.
Okay, this is one of Wayne and my handles. This is actually one of the prototypes. And generally speaking, most people, you want this distance right here, from here to here, to be the least amount you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you generally don't want to bias the handle, although mine is slightly biased. You can see I've got different eyelets. And the other thing, this is a carbon fiber handle, dragon plate, and we use eyelets in it now. These were hand put in. Now we have a machine that does that. And it just has a 3/32 piece of carbon, and then we take some light balsa wood and we put on, you know, each side of it, and you can shape that wood. You can make a pattern. You can cut into this area here. You can add more balsa and a spacer, 3/32 spacer, so that it fits your hand nice and tight. Now, in this particular case, for my hand, I could just use some baseball bat tape, which is what I use, to make up the little bit of difference so that I don't really have any slop in there. Right. And then you got, you know, you have a lot of flyers that fly like this, you know, where they might even put their thumb up here and they're flying with their fingertips. And some of those guys will do little scallops so that each finger can fit into the scallop somewhat. So it's really a matter of personal choice. What I've learned as far as handles is, just like John was saying, you'd like not to have any bias. And of course I can get rid of this bias by making some adjustments. These are kitty clips that Randy Smith sells, and they can come in different lengths, but there's pretty big difference between them. And you really want to be able to adjust at about 1/16 of an inch. So we use we have the Tom Morse tool, and we make our own clips, and we make the adjustment at the airplane. Of course, every one of my airplanes has its own handle and set of lines. Again, it's the theory of, am I going up the stairs or down the stairs? Yeah. So when you take it off the plane, we take one of the clips. This is a clip, and you can make these clips in lengths that are 1/16 of an inch difference. Right. And you just make a whole bunch of them. And then when you get into a situation like this, you actually would make the adjustment in the line clip, not in your handle. And so this one's getting ready to go back. We've just about got it adjusted where it can go back out to the furthest. Some people, I mean myself, you generally want your lines, I think, as far out as you can get them. Paul Walker, he's talked us into when we make some new ones, because we're just about sold out of these. We're going to modify this handle slightly so that we can add one more eyelet onto the handle. Yeah, yeah, you should definitely. And that'll give you well over 5 inches of spacing, which of course just makes it more sensitive, and it also keeps it more direct control. You know, you don't. What you can find sometimes when you start narrowing those lines is that it gets kind of mushy feeling. You know, you don't really have crisp response. Now, this is a competition handle, so, you know, not everybody needs to use a competition handle. But one thing I would suggest for everybody, if they've never done it, whether it's a Fancher handle or if you want to use a cable handle, you can get a cable handle, and you want to try to get the handle as light as you possibly can. This handle weighs almost nothing. It's less than an ounce. And where you really see the difference is when you go upstairs to do your overhead 8s, or when you're doing your hourglass or any of that kind of stuff. It just, you don't have you'd be surprised how heavy those handles feel after you use one of these. And I bet. So it just makes for a smoother experience. You know, you feel more connected to the airplane which is really the whole kind of theory of a hard point handle versus a cable handle.
Mm-hmm.
And like the handle you were showing us, Charles, even though it is somewhat of a hard point, you do have a cable that runs through there.
Yeah.
And a cable, even though it's got to be just a super small amount, because I've used the Casminato handle before I went to these because it's a relatively light handle, and it's a cable handle. The cable handles are really nice because even if you can't adjust them in flight, you can adjust them after the flight. You know, like the CAS just has a ball driver that you put in and it loosens it up and you can move it a 16th or a 32nd or whatever you need. So that's kind of the advantage of a cable handle. And a lot of guys swear by it and they say, there's no such thing as, you know, the cable straightens out or anything like that. But like I say, maybe it's the weight, maybe it's the hard point. I'm not sure, but it doesn't feel like you just feel with this type of a handle, you feel a lot more connected to the airplane.
Oh,
you know, you can feel all the little nuances of the plane.
Yeah, you're not going to have to make it much bigger because Samantha's handle is 4 7/8 from the outside.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. We just need to add one more eyelet. And that's just because of Paul Walker.
I think I would need it to be one more eyelet too. I have big hands, and
yeah,
I would like that. And I can see how you could easily do that. And you have the handle there, might as well do that.
As far as the line spacing, does that determine by the size of your bell crank? The larger the bell crank, the more line spacing you would need, or how does that work? Because if you've got your lines 2 inches apart, trying to run a 5-inch bell crank, you're going to have to twist your arm to get all the movement that you need.
Yeah.
Versus a 5-inch spacing on a 3-inch bell crank, it's so sensitive. So that's what when I fly my shoestring. Of course, I'm old school. I've got the easy adjusts, but I've got the smaller one and the bigger one, and I can fly that shoestring easier on that smaller handle because I've got that small 3-inch bell crank in there, and I'm not overturning everything with that larger handle. You know, I found if I went to that smaller handle,
I think, I mean, there's more than one way to attack that particular issue. One is don't use a 5-inch bell crank. That's a big bell crank. I don't think I've ever even seen one. But
that was just an example. I don't know.
But there's lots of 4-inch bell cranks. Right. That's what we use. We use a 4-inch bell crank. So there's two things you can do. One is that where you drill the hole that's going back to your flat, that distance away from the pivot of the bell crank, you can shorten that up or lengthen that. And that affects how much sensitivity that you have. The easier way, rather than, because, you know, sometimes if you don't know how the airplane's going to fly, it's kind of difficult to say, well, should I really move, you know, drill this hole somewhere else because I'm never going to get back to it without cutting the airplane up.
Right.
So the other way to do it is with your elevator horn. And Tom Morris, you can still buy his stuff at Okie Hobbies. And he makes a horn that has a slot in it so that you can slide it up and down.
Right.
Obviously, the closer it is to the pivot of the elevator, the more sensitivity you're going to have and the more throw. As you move it down, then you also, you know, decrease that. Now, myself, I don't usually mess with that too much. What I would rather do, like on a Ringmaster, I had an electric ringmaster that I gave away at the Nats one year. Really nice flying plane. In fact, my brother still flies his. You know, you got to fly it fast as the Blue Blazes. They're really light and all that. But I don't know how many of you guys have ever flown RC, but in radio control, you can buy a special horn, and it's actually made for ailerons. And all it really is a long bolt. It's probably 2.5, 3 inches long, threaded. And it goes through these two little black triangles, one on top, one on bottom. They're not very big, so you'd probably want to go in there, you know, depending on how your elevator's built, and make sure you're not using balsa wood. You know, you need some 64th ply bigger than that triangle, something like that, so you don't crush it. But that's the other way that you can do it, because if you start messing with your elevator, with that adjustable elevator, what happens is that you're only adjusting the elevator. You know, your flaps are still going to be doing their same thing, you know, and so that can cause you problems. You get away from you know, most guys run, you know, 1-to-1, and so sometimes you get too far out of that 1-to-1, you can find that you can induce a stall in your airplane because you have too much flap throw. So again, it just depends how you want to approach it. And certainly, even like on a handle like this, you can narrow the spacing. The eyelets actually come all the way down.
Right.
As long as they're equal, then they're not biased. However, it doesn't feel the same, because you have to imagine that when you get down like that, you have to move this a lot more before you start feeling it. You know, feeling the airplane move. And so, you know, again, it's personal preference, what you like. But most of the, you know, Nats type flyers, they want that spacing out as far as they can get it. And the other reason that we're going to be going, actually, Peter's going to help us when we get ready to order. The other reason you like that is that you're going to be adding a little bit of material, which will let you cut away a little more of the dragon plate, because you don't want to cut this too thin, because you don't want to have a failure. Although I can tell you this carbon, I don't know how much you actually have to have, but this is some kind of tough stuff. There's another guy, that Chris Cox, he sells a very similar handle, only he's using 16th inch, you know, plate. We opted for 3/32 just to get a little extra margin of error. Right. And it, again, will allow a little more dishing out if you have a big hand, because either this handle fits you or it doesn't. You know, right. If you got a really big hand and there's just no way you can cut enough away and leave enough, then this isn't a handle that would work for you. But for my brother has pretty big hands, and he uses the handle. In fact, we used his hands as a model. That's why I have to put a few extra wraps of, because I got small hands. So I have to put a few extra wraps of the a baseball bat tape on mine. So that's a little bit of something about, as far as what I know about handles. Yeah. I mean, cable handles are the most convenient, you know, because it's easy to make adjustments. A hard point handle is hard to make adjustments because you have to switch and keep trying those different lengths of clips until you can get everything evened up. And once you do that, if you use one handle per plane, one set of lines per plane, then you don't ever have to think about it again. And I leave one clip on the plane and take one clip off into the, that's what the little clip you saw.
Yeah.
So
you don't get the lines mixed up that way.
Yeah.
What was that blue thing around your reel, Jim? What was that?
Oh, this is something I found a long time ago. I love these. I have a real hard time with those little metal clips. I hate those things. It's like you just can't even imagine. So what this is, if you go to any sporting goods store, this is a tennis wrist thing that you put on your wrist.
Okay.
And it just happens to be about the right size. Of course, it's stretchy, so it will just stretch right on. And then you can just move it right over to, you want it to be across, but you can slide it around so that it's, that it's capturing your line.
Right, absolutely. That's a good idea.
Wandering around everywhere.
Yeah, we use them up north here to keep the line's ears warm.
Speaking of those clips, I actually take those stainless steel clips and I drill a hole in the center of it, and I put a clip in. I put a connector, a line connector on there. When I wrap my lines up, I got the two ends, and I connect them to the line connector, which is connected to the clip, and that's how I keep my lines together. Of course, drilling through that stainless steel, you have to really kind of almost punch the drill press through it, or else it preheats the metal or the drill bit. So I just punch it through. But I just brought this out just for an example. I actually have an assortment of handles, hard point handles. I have the Brodak handles. I have the Tom Morris handles. Quite a few different handles. But this handle, I just was just curious if there's something I don't know about it. And I don't know if you ever experienced this, but you use a tool and you don't realize there's another use for it. And it's like, wow, if someone would have told me that, it would have been great, and that's why I asked, is there anything I don't know about this? And I know to adjust this, and I know to adjust the line spacing, but I just wasn't familiar with this, if there's any advantage with these here. So.
Yeah, well, you can move those in and out away from the handle.
Yeah, too.
Again, I would just say that the more you move them away from the handle, the more kind of weirdness you're going to get.
Absolutely.
If you look at mine or Samantha's in my hand, my knuckles, they touch that.
Right.
But you want it as close to your knuckles as you can,
right?
Far away.
Now, is that thing adjustable? Can it come out further? That black part?
No.
Okay.
No. It's a solid piece of carbon fiber plate.
Because the matter of fact, Brent Williams, he had said I should go hard point. And Brent, just so you know, I've been entertaining getting some more of those Ted Fancher hard point handles from you, but I have about 3 of those already. But
Samantha only has one handle. She has lines for all the airplanes, but if the handle ones are the same, you adjust them at the airplane. So she moves her handles from line to line. She's got this one to fit her hand exactly the way she wants it, and she uses this handle to fly every plane. But we have lines that are already have the ends on them, and they're
already adjusted.
Yeah. That's a good technique. I have a Ziploc bag which has the reel and the handles for each plane, and it's labeled, for Strega, red Strega, white Strega, and that's how I do it. I just pick up the bag and I have everything there. It's already adjusted, but then again, I have a lot of handles as a result.
Yeah, we have a lot of handles, but that's the one that Samantha likes, and she flies every plane with that handle.
Oh, that's a good idea. I make my adjustments at the handle.
She's gonna make sure Jim doesn't make any more money off of her.
Hey, Robert. Hello, Robert, by the way.
No, she loves that handle, and that's the one she flies with.
Yeah.
She has since she won it there at the Nats, and
Yep.
That's the only one that she flies with, and we have different hard point handles on it. We got some from Randy Smith and somebody else, and we got Kaz handle and everything else, and that's the one that she moves from line set to line set. So I have written on there what airplane it's for, and it's all set up. So when we throw it on that handle, then she's good to go.
You know, the one thing I learned from Sparky that I didn't know before I was flying Sparky's plane at the Nats, and when I was coming out of a hard corner, the plane would kind of rise or bobble, come out of the corner, and he told me to lengthen the legs on my handle, and I did that, and then it didn't bounce out of the corner, and so it's kind of like one of those things where, wow, I wish I would have known that, but now that I know that, and I'm just sharing with everybody else who might not be aware of that also.
Do what now?
So this handle is not, I can't show you on this handle, but like on a Ted Fancher hardpoint handle, for example, I can lengthen I can move the legs out. I can lengthen them.
Oh.
And what the problem is when I'm making a hard maneuver, I'm not getting back fast enough. And so having it lengthened, it makes it so I can get back fast enough, and that makes the corner more flat.
What it's doing for you, Charles, is years back, they had handles that had extreme length on here. I think Bob Hunt was the first one to start using them. The idea was, as you give it more control, you got a longer moment arm here trying to bring your hand back. And that's why you can come quicker off of your input because of that lengthened moment arm. Okay.
Right.
Well, the thing is, they found that there was more problems that occurred with that type of a overhang, extreme overhang, as unlike what you had with the red handle, Easy Just. The Easy Just. I mean, you're right with your knuckles is where it exits the handle. Okay, so it's very solid. You have to put the input. You have to stop the, so that's why lengthening it a little bit. If you're hopping your corner like that, yeah, that little bit extra moment arm will help you get off of the control a little bit faster.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know. And Sparky taught me that, and I was like, wow. So I thought maybe something else I don't know about this. So that's why I asked. Looks like Gary Sinclair is here as well. Hey, Gary. Can't see you, but see your name. And then the Cookie Monster showed up.
Well, one thing we brought out with like Samantha's airplanes, and we got that adjustable horn in it. And if you make the elevator too sensitive over 1-to-1, you'll get that hop. You need less elevator, and we could dial the elevator out, and then she could come back, and it wouldn't do that little hiccup.
Well, mine was Sparky's plane, so we wasn't going to do that. So I just lengthened the handle.
I don't totally agree with that. 1-to-1 unless you got a really heavy airplane is extreme. At an extreme.
Well, yeah, we're not at 1-to-1, but we were way too far. We brought it back. We brought it back closer to 1-to-1.
Okay, I'll agree with you there. Yeah, I like to use about between 24 to 27 degrees of flap and 32 to 36 degrees of elevator.
Yeah, we were doing it by feel, and she was bouncing corners and stuff, and she kept saying, it's me, and it's like, I want to adjust that damn elevator, from where everybody put it. And I backed it out just a little bit, and I seen a little better, and then we just went to where it didn't do it anymore. And then that, I don't know what the degree. We still have more elevator than flaps, but not as much.
Hey, Steve.
You can also. Oh, excuse me a minute.
I've got a question. Steve?
Yeah.
Is that one of those horns that are slotted?
Yep.
Okay.
You can also adjust it by adjusting the overhang, extending the overhang a little bit. Leave your controls where they're at and adjust the overhang. Move it out a little bit. Not much, just a little bit.
Yeah,
Doesn't take a whole lot.
We can't do that on her handle.
No, time for her to get a new handle. Try to talk her into that.
Yeah, good luck. Hey, what's up, Max and Otto?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, yes.
You been good?
There, it's just you.
Yep.
Come to see Santa. Otto will come along later. He's still off in the room. He will be over, but Max wanted to come and say hello and see Santa.
I thought you was Otto, Max. Oh, you're getting big.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting down to New Zealand. I can wear my Bermuda shorts down there.
What was that airplane you walked through the camera with? What's that airplane you're holding?
It's Phantom.
Phantom Racer. Hold it up a bit more. Thanks.
Ah,
very cool.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
Yeah, there's the motor for it here. Cool. We've got drop the canopy. There's a little diesel in it.
Ah, cool.
Big. I'm sorry, Gerald. Hang on. I was sleeping at the wheel here. All right, Max. Now you're nice and big.
Ah, it's going to be a diesel.
Is it a 15?
It's a little 09 diesel. Here's the little canopy for it.
I never had any luck with diesels. I had one.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's nice.
That looks nice.
Pretty plain.
Yeah, the little tiny tank. I'll show you the tank. They're so cute. They're so tiny, the little tank.
Diesels don't need much of a tank.
Somebody's
they race them.
Somebody's going to have to ultimately make a
Racing is what
tutorial how to run a diesel because I can never figure out how to start them.
Well, they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun, the diesels. And Otto's here as well. He's got his thing over things here.
Oh, there's Otto.
Yeah.
Peter, you'll have the hardest time starting them the first time. After that,
you crank the screw down on the top. Do you crank it out? Do you add more ether, less ether? I can never figure out what the deal is.
We run. So the first little,
yeah,
early model diesel, a little bit later. Yeah.
What size are those?
What do you think of running diesels?
Once we actually get them running, they're quite fun, but they're just hard to get started sometimes. It's the whole thing of getting them in, really.
Everybody here, when we want to run our diesels, we take them over to our buddies from England. It's the only thing he ran all of his life, till he got over here.
Yeah.
He can listen to them, and it's like, oh, you need more compression, or you need more fuel, or less fuel, or this or that, and he can really make them go. But so now, are they? Is that both the same airplane or not?
Yes,
or are they a little different?
Both Max and I built the same Phantom Racers, and Lena built one as well. I'll grab the Lena's one by one. Phantom Racer. Yeah, it's up on the wall. I just I can get it. Yeah, I can grab it. Then my trick of knocking everything down. And that's your mum's Phantom Racer. And her one's got a little teddy bear in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so that's
So what is it by like 1cc and 1.5? Is that the different classes?
Yeah, this class that we normally fly for Phantom Racing is 1.5 cc's or an 09, and they don't have many events for this class. It's sort of a vintage class, but it's really just a fun class. And there's my one. My one's got a little cat sandwiched in there, squashed in there, little cat. And my one's Kermit Green. We've got our Phantoms.
So which one's your boys' airplane, or all of them your boys' airplane?
The green one's mine. The orange one's my wife's, and Otto's got his one here with the green fuselage, and Max is the one with the red wings and green. So we've all got our own Phantoms. And my
Just
wife got another one.
get all three of you in a circle at the same time and have a race.
Somebody has to launch.
That's something we have.
Who's going to start them?
Yeah, you got a point.
We'll do it at the Nationals. When we've got our Nationals, the days are long, and in the evening people are just mucking around, and we thought we'll take our Phantoms down to the Nationals and we'll give us something to do. There's a low-key fun event after all the serious flying. We pull out our Phantoms and race them around, can't we? Yeah, we just fly them on 35-foot lines, and they're a lot of fun, aren't they? We were flying combat on the weekend, and we're doing the balloon burst. You want to tell them about the balloon burst today?
So we were racing, and we popped a lot of balloons, but there were 2 crashes into the box.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just when we were getting a bit tired.
But it's a lot of fun. One of those fun events like the Phantom racing, the balloon burst is a nice fun event. Anybody can participate in. You just need an old basher plane to
Something speedy.
We've got about 2 weeks before our national, so we'll try and finish off a few models and sort things out, and we can hopefully go along and have a good contest.
How far are the nationals from your house?
Oh, a day's drive. A day's drive to get down there to the nationals, and another day's drive back. So it's a good long drive. We've got to make it worthwhile. We'll stay there the whole week, and we'll fly in scale. Otto will fly combat. Max wants to do B class racing. Give that a try. Yeah, and racing. Yeah, and yeah, that's the class you'll be doing, vintage racing. And
So can Otto help you with some of the driving?
not yet. He's only 13. Not yet. He's got to wait till he's 16 before he's allowed to drive. But yeah, Lena will probably do most of the driving, and Max wants to race that model at the nationals.
Oh yeah.
We'll see how that.
That's nice.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing, my little elf?
Hey guys, did I freeze up?
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't frozen up?
Yeah, well, we lost.
You're good.
John, I got my mic turned off, so we're not interrupting the show. We do want to watch, and we're interested in hearing. So we got the mic turned off, and we're in the background doing this. But is Phil on tonight?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say.
Not yet.
No.
Okay, I wanted to ask Phil if he got the plans for the Skyray that I sent him. I don't know that he got those yet. So if Phil gets on, I would like to ask him that. But in the meantime, we're just going to be here in the background listening.
What kind of cookies is she making?
We're making Nestle Toll House cookies, original. Just regular.
I'll be right over. I'll be right over Christmas Eve.
Does she have her own email address that we can send her our home addresses so we can get some cookies here coming?
No, my daughter's 9. She does not have an email address, man.
No. But she's certified to run the KitchenAid mixer. Mike is on
Facebook account.
But we're listening. We're just in the background hanging out, and I'll join after we get our cookies done, and because I do have a few things to show control line wise later. But for now, we'll just bow out. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mike. So,
Hey, Mike.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gerald. I just saw her there, and I had to say something to her.
Where's Gerald?
Good. That's good. I'm here. I'm behind Otto's shoulder. No, we had a vintage combat contest on the weekend. We get a great turnout of flyers, but we got a good turnout of spectators and people for lunch. So that was a lot of fun. But at this time of year, everything's getting busy. It's only a few days for Christmas now. So after Christmas, we head down to our nationals.
But them guys are probably sad that they have to go to nationals and they can't go to school.
Also, what we call college next year, or high school, I suppose you would call it. So he's 13 now, so he's got an email out. Yeah, you're allowed to get an email once he's 13. His max is 11, a little bit longer to go. One more year at intermediate.
2 more years of frustration.
So we've been trying to get models for the nationals, and everything's sorted out. So when we go down there, we don't have some catastrophic fails like we've had in past years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good deal.
I was going to show you some handles. Well, just because you were talking about handles before, one of the difficulties we have is we all use the same lines, and we pick the lines between the models. And we've been using a lot of the spectra lines, and what I've been doing is putting the lines through the handle so it runs round. So your cable is effectively the spectra line running through the handle, and that's the larger set that I make up for stunt flying, the 4-inch. And they've all got the same spacing. I could change it to a narrower spacing, but it's adjustable with the wing nut at the bottom, so I can adjust the line length on it. But they're just I store mine in block bags. And so for our spectra lines, we've been flying mainly spectra. You really enjoy it, don't you? Like the spectra of the steel, don't you? Like I'm saying, you like the lightweight. And so Honda just make a slightly smaller version, and I cut them out of plywood, so they're nice and light, with a slightly smaller line spacing for combat.
Cool.
And then some of the competition used to go steel lines, doing different steel lines. The competition that I always cut out our own handles, so I normally have a big supply handle that I cut out. So yeah, that's my standard stunt handle, which people criticise me for, saying it's not a very sophisticated handle, but they're so easy to cut out. If you want another line spacing, different distances, you can just cut out another one and drill new holes. It's so easy. And if you want, you can run a solid cable around it. But with spectra lines, they work so well. They're just so convenient. And just wind the lines up around them at the end. So, been great for us, just flying as a family, that we can just use the same handle on, or same lines, same handles on so many different models. Yeah. So yeah, that's my bit.
Very cool.
So Jim, how is your molds coming out?
Well, I've been so busy at work, and then Mike Waldron crashed his Yashenko, and
oh man,
so he knows I've got molds for, or I'm about to have molds for a Yashenko shark. So he conned me into repairing his, which means a whole new fuselage is basically what that means. So I have to, I'm about ready to go get some more steel so that you can put around to use as your frame for your mold. And then I'll have the machinist do some locating. I'll show you a fuselage, a plug. I'm still in the plug stage. I've been so busy at work.
What do you do?
I'm a permit consultant. I help clients. Mostly we deal with solar, like photovoltaic solar.
Yeah.
Panels on your roof, that kind of stuff. But I do generators. I've done a few whole houses, you know. But solar has a lot of incentives, and so people are just going nuts trying to, you know, get permits out so that the people could take a tax credit this year, because it's going to start going down. I'm sure it'll get refunded, but so it's just been stupid.
Yeah, I was looking at I've been looking at some property in Florida, different places, and it gives it solar rating now. That's the only, I've never seen nothing like that. That it gives it, the property as some kind of a solar rating.
Yeah. you know, they say they're all, you know, utility. One of the things that we deal with is after you have your solar panels installed,
Yeah.
You have to get a different meter from the utility company. And
oh, I see. I thought it was like how much sunshine that piece of dirt got.
Well, now that's probably what that is.
Oh, okay.
But that really means nothing. You know, okay, it has this much sunshine. Well, if you build your house and you got a big giant tree on the southern side,
yeah,
throwing shade all over the southern roof, you know, you're kind of messed up.
Oh, okay.
And personally, I mean, myself, I would never mount solar panels on my roof. I don't want anybody up there drilling holes through my roof.
Yeah.
I would do if you have a large enough piece of property, you can do a ground mount where it's like some of the solar farms that you see at the prison and things like that, where they get mounted to the ground, they come up and they pitch them at an angle, and some of them are really fancy. They'll follow the sun for a little bit and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, with the utility companies all say they all had these solar programs, and you know, they act like they want to help you get solar, but really the opposite is true. They make life miserable for you trying to get this meter, because you're just taking business away from them.
Yeah.
Right.
Now your doomsday preppers, because it's really hard to get off the grid. The only way to actually get off of the grid, because the utility company, if you produce extra energy, electricity, they'll buy it back from you.
Yeah.
Except they don't give you jack for it.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
There's some places in Florida now that charge you to sell them your extra electricity.
Right.
So, you know, it's all just kind of a marketing thing, but if you really want to get off the grid, it's a pretty expensive option. You have to get your photovoltaic panels, and then you have to buy a battery, lots of batteries usually, like a Tesla Powerwall, something like that.
Yeah.
And you may have to buy multiple ones, depending on what you want to run. And during the day, when your solar panels are producing, part of that energy, a large part of it, is going to charge your battery, so that when you reach, I don't know how it is where all you guys live, but in Florida, when you get to a certain time of day, usually like 5 o'clock, they call those peak hours, and they charge a lot more per kilowatt for peak hours.
Yeah.
So that usually works pretty good. You know, you can charge your batteries, and then you can run your batteries. Usually you can get them to run most of the night. You know, you obviously can if you put enough batteries in, but the batteries are not inexpensive. It's not an inexpensive proposition to get off the grid.
Hey, Jim, pardon me, but I want to get back to model aviation.
Yeah.
And I want to first say, in addition, we have 3 likes, and we've had as many as 19 viewers. So please smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you can come in here live. We do this program on Mondays and Friday evenings at 6:45 Pacific Standard Time, and that way you can come in if you know what time we're going to start instead of just watching the replays. But please smash the like button. It really helps the channel grow. There's not a whole lot of us that fly model airplanes, so we really got to hit the likes. We've been trending about 20 viewers on the live broadcast. I'd like to see that increase. And I'm hoping that by getting more likes, it'll be a more recommended video, and we get the concurrent viewers up. So thank you. Thank you for your contributions, and don't forget the super chats. We like those too. Those help as well.
Hey, is Sparky still doing his things on Saturday and stuff like that?
Oh my God! Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He is building a beautiful plane. That Mega or Mother Tucker is awesome. You should see it. It is beautiful. It's not done yet, but what he's done, I'm just totally amazed. It looks really pretty. Anybody else seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I went to this new phone and I don't get none of the stuff anymore. I don't know. It always came through Google, and it's my same account, but I don't get any notifications, or it doesn't save them, or
Do you go to your Facebook? I mean, to YouTube, to the Stunt Hangar, and click on the bell?
Yeah, I was always getting them until I changed phones.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happened, and I can't figure out how to turn them on.
We're up to 4 likes. Thank you very much. 4 likes. Keep going. We got 19 viewers. Let's get the likes up, please.
One of them goes, but I just wanted to just show a couple of his cartoons before he takes off. But yeah, we'll post them on Stunt Hangar. He's posted some of it.
Make it big, Charles,
so you can see them a bit clearer.
All right, hang on.
So you have to hold it up. Yeah. Come back a little bit.
You guys see him?
Oh yeah. I'm on a telephone, but I can't read what the page says.
I just have a big black screen.
It's married.
I'll post him on Stunt Hangar, and he's got one on here. It's a control line gangsters. He's got gangsters flying control line. Quite amusing. But he's got quite a few different control line things. Well, I'll try and get them posted up on Stunt Hangar with some of these other cartoons.
Yeah, you need to post them on that, or post them on Facebook. But that can be your guys' team name, as the Control Line Gangsters.
We got 5 likes. Thank you very much, guys out there, or gals. Appreciate it.
He's damn good at drawing cartoons, Gerald.
Yeah, he enjoys it. And now that they're on school holidays, I think he'll find a bit more time for his cartoons and a bit more time to finish off some balls. So, yeah, it's been good. So Samantha still able to fly? I imagine she's very busy in her lot now, but is she still flying?
No.
Steve?
Oh yeah, how's she doing? I heard she fell down. How's she doing there, Steve?
Oh, that was 2 years ago. When she fell. It was really weird because that came up on my memories or whatever. The day after, and it was the same kind of weather. We had rain, and it got cold, and I got like. The front deck is actually made out of some kind of a plastic. And why the bottom step freezes and the other ones don't, they all get wet, but that bottom step freezes. And I hit it and did the same thing, but when I went down, I was closer to the newel post or whatever. And I hooked my arm, and slid down my arm, down my wrist, and I kept from going down on my back. But her feet went out from under her when she hit that bottom step. The same was mine, but I caught myself where she didn't, and it bruised her kidney and all that kind of stuff. And
oh boy,
the doctor said there's still a lump in her back from the contusion or whatever. After 2 years, it made scar tissue, and it's gradually going away, but yeah, she hit hard. It looked like blood was going to start coming out of her skin when she did it.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know what to do. I thought about maybe trying to glue some sand, take a little bit of glue and put on there, and then sprinkle some sand in it. But it's not like right now. Once it gets cold, it's fine. It's the changeover from. If we go from rain and then it freezes, it's just a light glaze on that plastic or something. It makes that bottom step just super slippery. But
Steve, call up
Hey, Ed.
Aircraft Spruce. Or
What?
Steve, call up Aircraft or Wix and just buy some wing lock tape.
What?
Buy some wing lock tape. That's exactly what you're talking about that you need. Just call up the aircraft supplier and buy the stuff. It just comes in a roll or pre-cut pieces or whatever. And it's real gritty stuff that's on the wing roots of airplanes to walk on. And that worked really good.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, while I'm on,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas.
I've got a few people haven't been on for a while, but I haven't been doing too much model stuff. But I've got a few things on the go. Merry Christmas. And part of it is you were talking about oddball engines earlier before I came on.
Oh, wow.
Looks like a
This
one.
here is the very last of the OK Cubs ever made, and I bought it, and they had these for sale for $25. Commemorative end of the run, so I bought one. What the heck? And came across a few other engines. They're actually not all that bad. Anyway, this one's really weird. It's a K&B 40, which looks like it's for opposite rotation.
Good God.
The intakes, everything are all different. Carburetors mounted on the side.
Yeah, that'd be opposite rotation.
Yep, but you can just take and pull that off and turn it.
Yeah, flip it on the other side.
Yep. And then another one that's odd is this Max H OS 60, which is a rear intake side exhaust.
Yeah.
So that struck me as kind of a neat engine. It's strings, but everything else seems fine.
They use that in a lot of
MDS 48. I've got an MDS 40.
Everybody hated that motor.
Yeah, I've got the 40 version. It's a little bit heavy, but it's a pretty strong engine.
Everybody hated that motor because it broke in harder than even an
And then one, I don't know what it is. It's a mystery engine. Looks to be about.
Looks like a K&B.
What's that? Steve?
Looks like a K&B Sportster.
Yeah.
And then this one here.
Yeah, it's got the fins on the.
That's K&B.
This one doesn't have an engine size on it. It's a K&B. It's a 4. So it's got a lot of pop. Might be a fun flyer. So those.
That's it.
Yeah, it's got fins on the muffler extension. It's a real pain in the ass for the muffler for.
It is a K&B Sportster. I'm not sure what the size is. It looks like about
It's got separate nuts and lock washers inside the tube. You got to take the whole thing apart to get the muffler off. So it's kind of dumb, but anyway, I saved it from the scrap heap. If I've been working on it. It looks like about a 35.
Not a K&B Sportster. They made 20, 28, and 45.
But there's no markings on it. It just says K&B. And then on the one motor lug, there's the number 20 is stamped, but this is way bigger.
Well, that's because it doesn't have a liner. It's all aluminum, and it's an aluminum piston and an aluminum bore, or steel piston, aluminum bore, one of the two.
That's a chrome.
So
chrome
their 20s had this big of a case.
You probably have to
anyway
have to measure the cylinder diameter.
Odds and ends.
Pretty cool group of motors.
Actually, they ran pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't pulled the head off. Something else working on.
Dick ran the K&B 28. I mean, that was a great little.
Chromed hardened aluminum.
It's a great little control line motor.
I
Is that
bought
from a
smoothie.
smoothie, Robert? That rudder?
Barf kit. Yeah, when I get around to it, I'll pull the head off and look.
It looks like a T-bird rudder.
Smoothie.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, I've never had anything to do with K&B, so I guess I'll find out. And then that barf smoothie that I picked up was missing its fin and rudder, so I just made one the other day. Yeah, well, I'll find out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I didn't have a fin and rudder for my smoothie. I got a barf kit really cheap from one of the guys in the club. It was missing it, so I just went through the. No, it's a smoothie. Yeah, it's a barf smoothie.
I ain't never had a barf smooth.
That's the one I've got. That blue head McCoy combat special in it. Bunch of parts to glue together. Something else I'm working on today that's real special for me is way back when I was about 14 years old. I knew my dad had learned to fly back in 1949 on an Aeromodeling Champ. He lost the logbooks and everything and couldn't remember the registration, but it didn't matter. I bought a Gillows yeah, I got 3 or 4 of them now just because I want planes that I don't have any emotion into if I hit the ground or when I hit the ground. But anyway, I built Gillows Aeromodeling Champ back in '74, I think it was. And the tissue was all rotten and peeling off and pieces were broken. But I'd done it up back then just because my dad had learned to fly on them. And then we went through a couple of airplanes over the years that were on and this and that. But my dad's in an extended care home right now. His dementia's getting really bad. He barely remembers anything. Sometimes he remembers a little bit about flying, which used to be his focus. So it's really sad. So what I did was I tore apart and I'm rebuilding that Aeromodeling Champ and doing it in monocoque just because it's a lot more durable for him. It'll never be flying. And so I just rebuilt all the components and getting pretty close to final assembly here. I just cut out the windscreens tonight and got a little bit more, well, a bunch more monocoating to do to get the red trim all around it. But I had an 020 on this thing. Never did actually fly it, so essentially that 020 is brand new. But the prop looks good, propeller looks good on it and everything. So I'll put it back in, and you can hang it from his ceiling. And the upper cabin structure, I put a solid block of wood, and I've reinforced the fin and rudder with some more infill of wood on it, so that up here it's solid at the top. So I'm going to put a grommet through that so that they can put some strings on and hang it from his ceiling like a mobile. And hopefully when he's looking up from his bed or his chair, he'll maybe get some memories come back. So they're going to let myself and my sister in to see him with this COVID stuff. If we get in once a week, but we're allowed to get in and see him on Christmas Day for about half an hour. So we're gonna give him these couple of presents and hopefully make his day a bit better.
That's very nice.
So trying to keep the aviation in the family.
Yeah.
So that's sort of my pride and joy project that I was working on today.
Very good, man.
Yeah, it's nice.
Very nice of you to do.
You know, if I was going to fly it, there's no way I'd use film covering on a quarter. So yeah, that's about all I've really been doing on the model side, the eyes and everything. So, but anyway, I thought I'd come on tonight, make sure. Hopefully, there.
Appreciate it.
Onto the screen, or anyone else want to dive?
Yeah, again.
It's breaking off.
Still there, Charles?
I'm still here. Yeah, we're having a poor internet connection for some reason.
Since we have a few electric flyers here now.
Oh no!
It's
all those guys, man, kick them out.
Yeah, I built up to 7 likes, and now
that's it. We're done for.
I was watching last Friday's edition, and I thought I could add just a little bit.
All right.
Everybody was talking about the Jetty Spin 66.
Yeah.
And this was a brand new one, how they come. You know, it's got its little accelerometer on the end, and that kind of stuff. And when Wayne and I first started in electric, we got set up with a Hubin system. You know, it has a programming box, and it's a nice little system. However, it would not work in RPM mode on we were running Plettenberg engines, and it would not run on a Schultz ESC. This is a Schultz ESC. You can get these out of Canada. This is a German job. They don't make this particular one. Now it's called a 61, a little bit bigger. And so we got with Will Hubin, and Will ran a bunch of tests for us on ESCs about how often they check for RPM. And, you know, I know we were all you guys were talking about, you know,
yeah.
With just such little milliseconds, it's just hard to believe that it can make any difference. And, you know, I would certainly agree. But, however, I can tell you it does make a difference. There's no question about it. And the two fastest ESCs, I don't know. The Schultz is absolutely the fastest. It checks more often, just slightly more often than a Jetty Spin. And this is the old version, like you guys were saying. And if anybody wants to know what that frequency is, you can contact Will Hubin. He can give you some of that test data that he did, and he could probably tell you. I don't know what it is offhand.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Jim.
But I can tell you when we ran the Schultz, we were able to go into his programming mode and run RPM, and the RPM mode as the governor. And in that one, you just set the RPM on the programming box. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's what RPM you're going to get on your TAC, obviously. But, you know, it'll be somewhat close anyway. And it almost made that Schultz with his system using a Schultz ESC. It almost made it as good as a Fioretti or in fact, Wayne and I used that for quite a few years because it's so fast that as soon as you turn down or you turn up, it would almost instantly increase the power or decrease the power to the motor. So I just thought it was interesting that you guys were talking about that, and I happen to know somebody who could probably tell you all about it. He's you know, is an electronic engineer.
Yeah, I'll have to get a hold of Will again. Yeah. Email him and ask him.
That way we can find out how that badass compares to these two.
Well, I want to find out about that. It's actually a Cobra.
Yeah, it's a Cobra, right? That's
and
right.
It's made for the quadcopters, and it's supposed to be so much faster for these, because I guess these quadcopters got that stability deal in them.
Mm-hmm.
And the stability works better the faster the ESC is.
Well, what was happening to those guys, the helicopter guys that I talked with, is this Spin 66, which is really fast. It was too fast. And what would happen is they would either throw blades or they'd start stripping gears.
Yeah.
Any input would instantly change it. And so they actually, the Jetty Spin Pro, just like you guys were saying, it, you know, they slowed it way down, and it's really not worth much for our uses in electric.
Yeah, I'm gonna find. I was gonna call Innovate or Innovation Aid or whatever.
Yeah,
see what they said about it, because it says it'll work with any brushed motor or unbrushed outrunner motor. So I'm just kind of wondering if it'll work for our being really fast, and it's not very expensive. You know, it's like $30-some compared to.
Yeah. A Schultz or a Jetty Spin, like Igor sells, they're not cheap.
Right. So that's what I was kind of looking at to see if that would work or not. But I'll find out. I ordered a badass motor a couple days ago. I think it's going to be here tomorrow. But I'm going to try that 35-15 instead of the 28. 20, whatever, and see with a bigger diameter if it gives it a little more torque over.
I'll tell you another system.
On what plane, Steve?
Here we go.
On an SV11.
SV? No, do what Jim did. Jim got what the 3520.
Yeah, and run the.
Hey guys, I gotta go.
Okay.
By the way, Trey, and those wood props are awesome. I mean, they really are. They convinced my brother. We haven't, you know, done a lot of testing on it, but to date, they work really good. Those wooden electric props, with the higher pitch.
Yeah, and they do a good job on them. They're super light, and the geometry is correct. The pitch is correct. You pretty much can buy another prop and just bolt it on, and you're back in business.
Yeah, $8 is a little more attractive than $50, and having to wait for one of Igor's to come from Europe.
I'm a cheapskate, man.
What's that?
I'm a cheapskate. I do my own stuff because it's cheaper than buying it.
He's a cheapskate. He's a cheapskate.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Got to save your money somewhere.
Actually, it costs me cheap. It's cheaper for me to build my planes on my own and do my own stuff overall than buy a kit or buy materials and stuff like that from somewhere else. So that's that. But it's the work that goes into the molds and stuff like that as a value.
Hey, there's an idea. There's a name for a model airplane. You know, Cunningham had the Mo Best. You can have the cheapskate.
Hey, I have a general modeling question. Maybe somebody's done this.
Try it. How much is your motor weigh in ounces?
I don't know. It's 210 grams. I'll give you in ounces. Give me a second.
This is a little different kind of finishing method.
7.4.
It's called.
Sorry, 7.4, Steve.
Okay.
And I was curious if anybody else has ever tried this. I've read a lot about it. This is just raw balsa. It's a little rocket I'm giving away for Christmas. And basically, what I had read, and this guy's been doing this for years and years, and he's never had a problem. His theory is that you gain your strength in your airplane if you can have a monocoque finish. And a monocoque finish just basically means that it's continuous everywhere. It's one big giant shell on the outside of your airplane. Now, a lot of guys, when they use the finishing resin method, they will put carbon fiber down. And, you know, I know carbon fiber matte, it really doesn't add anything to the strength. So I think guys mostly use it to fill grain. I'm not 100% sure. But basically you can take, this has Z-epoxy on it, and you take and you just slather on some, you know, finishing resin, and then you take paper towels and you wipe it all off, and then you let it dry. You take a piece of sandpaper and just barely knock the tops off, and then you come back in and you repeat that. You put a second coat on, and when it gets to this point right here, it's ready for primer. And you just shoot a little primer on it, sand that off, and you are ready for color. It's very fast.
That's what Bob Hunt does. Now, he doesn't use any silk span or carbon fiber or anything.
Yeah, because it's not adding to the monocoque structure strength. The epoxy is what does that, and it's because it's continuous, you know, around where the wing joins the fuselage. It's all finishing resin, and even though you have to wait overnight for each coat of finishing resin, most of the ones that I've tried, I think West may be the West Systems, that may be a really hard one to sand. But I've got some Valspar finishing resin. I've got Z-epoxy. That's what Sparky uses all the time. It's not quite as hard as the Valspar. It might be a little more susceptible to dings and stuff like that. But, you know, we're not supposed to ding them. You know, got to be careful.
Yeah.
So that's a fast and dirty way to finish an airplane. And, you know, the reason we went to it is because in Florida, we can't paint with dope. We don't, you know, the humidity never gets low enough to paint with dope. So it's an alternative way to do it. And then we use automotive paints, and, you know, you only put those on with an airbrush, a good airbrush, so that you can put the absolute minimum amount of paint on. A lot of guys will tell you that, and I certainly do it, when you paint your base coat, you know, whether it's going to be white or whatever you're going to paint the base part of your airplane, it doesn't necessarily have to be opaque, particularly white, because you can look at them. If you look really close at some of the Nats guys, every now and then you'll see there's not quite enough paint there, and you can see just a little bit underneath the paint. But it really doesn't seem to matter too much, because as soon as you put your trim colors on, you know, it fools your eye and it suddenly looks white. You know, so paint is pretty much our enemy, you know, when it comes to airplanes. And it really doesn't matter, I guess, almost whatever kind of airplane it is. You know, airplanes are all susceptible. They want them as light as they can get them. So,
right.
Say hello to everybody, Whiskers.
Meow.
He likes being on TV. So anyway, I was just curious if anybody had ever done that before. Anybody use that method without any? Obviously, Bob Hunt does apparently.
Well, I wish I knew about it because I'm finishing this plane right now, and it's really a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. So I wish I knew about it because I'll definitely use it.
No, I think the epoxy takes a while to dry, but
yeah, I mean, the plane I'm working on now will be the first one well, I did it on a Ringmaster fuselage and it seemed to work okay. I didn't put any silk strand or anything on it. So it does make the process go much faster.
How long do you let it soak in before you wipe it off?
Well, with most finishing resins, even though they tell you got to wait 24 hours for it to cure, you probably got about 15, 20 minutes of working time. So as soon as you get it on, you make little batches, okay? I use an epoxy brush to spread it out as far as I can get it to spread. And then you immediately come back as soon as you use up your epoxy. You immediately come back with your paper towels. So you want to make sure you're wearing some nitrile gloves because I can tell you it's a messy little job.
It sounds like it.
And
Jim, why not use a paint roller? One of those little beanie 3-inch, 4-inch rollers.
Yeah, you could
with
probably
foam.
do that. It doesn't
You
really
mix it
matter.
up
That would
and you
make it
just
go faster.
Yeah, you roll it on fast, and it's not going to soak a whole lot of it inside the wood either. It might be a little bit lighter.
Yeah, well, it's not really going to cure. It's going to be getting stiffer and stiffer. So I guess it still has a fairly, probably a long enough period where it's going to soak in. But after, probably an hour, I don't think it's soaking in anything.
No, but it's the initial soaking that never comes out.
Yes, right. But
if you use the roller,
it's not as as thick as or viscous as some epoxies. Obviously, it's more runny. But it only seems to go in just a little bit because when you sand, you have to be careful. If you try to sand anything other than just knock the tops off of it, you'll go right through the finishing resin and you'll be in raw balsa. So I know it doesn't go in very far. So, that little bit, I don't worry too much, but I do work in small batches so that I can get it off pretty quick with the paper towels. And just a whole roll of paper towels next to you and a garbage can and some nitrile gloves, and you just start wiping. And, however you want to put it on. In this particular thing, that's why I used an epoxy brush. I'm not going to use an epoxy brush on my big airplane. So you want to get it on there as fast as you can and use it up and then get it wiped off.
Okay. Yeah. May I stupid question. Are there a bunch of people around you that use this kind of a method of finishing on a regular basis?
Well, most of the guys that fly where I fly, it's mostly monocoque, you see.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they'll have a painted fuselage and monocoque the wings, and now Dave Hallis, he uses this method because he just built one of our tracers.
Yeah.
So he's our guinea pig for our new one. So we've been trimming on it and trying to figure out how, do we need to make any adjustments to the nose moment or anything like that, or the nose length. so that we can get the balance. But he kind of screwed up his finishing. He didn't come over when he was finishing, and he tried to mix Aero 1 filler from Randy Smith into his epoxy finishing resin.
Yeah.
That didn't work good. So
Yeah.
he had to do a lot of extra sanding, and so but he still came out nose heavy. So you know, and most of your weight is behind the center of gravity. So my guess is our nose might be a little bit longer. It's kind of based on the lengths of a Yashenko shark, because it's all inline. I mean, there's nothing out of that line, and he really hasn't experienced any kind of issues. His initial problem was he didn't seem to have enough elevator, and that was because it actually turned out that his CG was too far back. He needed more nose weight. I mean, more tail weight. And then we also freed up his controls to make sure that his controls were working pretty free. And then the plane flies great. It tracks like it's on rails, and it turns real good now. But obviously, you know, we don't want to have dead weight if we don't have to have it. But Wayne and I are both set up the same way right now, and so I don't think I'm going to cut my nose off. This will be like this, and we're going to build one more of the wooden ones, and then we'll be switching that design over to a molded one.
So, Jim, the reason for
plug out of foam for my tracer.
So the reason for which I was asking you that question is because if you have a bunch of people over there, you can all go in together and get a gallon of MGS resin with a slow cure on it. It's good for laminating, for molding stuff. Plus, it's going to be good for this finishing because it's both low viscosity and it's very low viscosity, actually. It's not just low viscosity. And it has a slow cure time, too. You have 1 hour of...
Okay. Well, I have to remember that. So stuff we have is we get it from a boat place. And I forget who makes it, but... they had it in different curing times and different viscosities. And we kind of picked the middle one, but probably we needed to pick the one with the slower curing time because these cure up just a little bit too fast for me.
You need your time. You need to take your time doing this stuff.
Yeah, because you want to be thorough when you're wiping it off, and it'll just look a little wet, that's all. And but you won't have any puddles or anything like that. You'll regret it if you leave puddles on there because you're going to have to sand them off. So I think it's a great way to do it. And, you know, it happens to work for us because we can't paint with dope. When we first got back into it, we tried like heck, man, and it was just awful. I don't know if they've changed something about the dope because you know it's a little different. We used to use Aerogloss when we were kids, and we didn't really ever seem to have that much trouble around wing fillets. And we had so much trouble that we actually almost totally got rid of the wing fillet. Now we just use a glue fillet there. It's very small, and we just take a ball bearing and put a little round thing in a balsa stick and glue it on there, and then just tape on each side of where the fillet's going to be, and then you just take that sucker, dip it in a little denatured alcohol, and start running it down your fillet. And because it's a ball bearing, you know, it's not so crucial as far as, you know, what angle you're at or anything like that. And then any excess that you might have just rolls over onto the tape. And then as soon as you get your fillet done, you just pull the tape off of your plane and all the excess epoxy or fillet material, whatever you're going to use.
I got a question. What is like automotive paint. Is that polyester or
Polyurethane.
Yeah, usually it's polyurethane. There's different kinds. For our use, polyurethane is probably what most people are going to use.
It's basically single stage, or they have some double stage. You know.
because I seen I was watching a thing on TV of them painting cars. And I swear to God, he said that there's a new paint out. I think it's polyester. And it looks like it needs a hardener or a different kind of thinner or whatever. But he said that the coverage on this new stuff is half as much. He was saying how much, 2 mils or 1.5 mils, I don't know, is all it takes for coverage.
Huh.
And because paint was so expensive, they were trying this because it used like half as much paint.
Right, that's a good idea.
To paint a car. Well, I was thinking on it, if it's half as thick, then it's probably half the weight.
Probably.
You also have to remember you're talking about painting cars, not model airplanes.
Right.
And so I don't know that even if you went to a polyester resin, that you're really talking about saving that much weight, because I can tell you what happens when you paint one like a car. If you follow the directions, you end up with an 80-ounce airplane. That's what happens.
It'll end up flying like a car.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying is that I know it doesn't matter on a car. They just pile the paint on and buff it down or whatever. But this guy was saying that the coverage on this was better, it laid out better, whatever. But for them, it costs less money because some of the reds and pearls and stuff like that, they're talking that are $400 a gallon and stuff. So if you used half as much, you know, but I don't know how good it is or whatever, but
2K paint's got a hardener.
I was going to try to find out, you know, because if you
Charles might have your answer.
Lighter.
No, I just have to add that Dennis Nunes had turned me on to buying these cake decorating tools. It's like a ball bearing on each end, different ball bearings, and I bought it on eBay for less than, sure it was less than $10. I got an assortment of different ball bearings with a stick basically on them, and so that's one way. And I also wanted to say we're down to 14 viewers, but we only have 11 likes. And if we could, want to remind you guys to hit the likes. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because our average viewer only watches 15 minutes. So you might think I'm doing it too often, but it's just because our average viewer is on for 15 minutes at a time. So in a timely manner, I want to remind everybody to hit the like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe. And don't forget the super chat. And, you know, I have not seen a single super chat. I know the economy is suffering and everything else, but I sure would appreciate some people getting some super chats out there. It helps Sparky and I, so appreciate it. And what else I was going to say? I want to say hello to Dennis, and I think Lynn's trying to come in. And Ed Carl, well, I saw you. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. That's it.
Okay, Jim, my question for you is, where do you get paint? Because we need different colors, and we cannot afford $400 for a gallon of paint, and every time you need a.
Well, you don't always have to buy it by the gallon.
Okay.
We have a little place around the corner from us. It's called E&B Auto Supply. Now it's still not cheap, but you can buy it in a little pint. That's about the smallest I've seen, unless you really know somebody really good that'll just give you some.
Well, that's why I was saying if this stuff this guy's talking about, I'm going to try to get to our auto part. If it really does cover with half the amount, then
it could have an advantage, but
then the paint would last you longer.
Yeah. I mean, there's different ways guys use. There's so many different automotive paints. You know, we use Valspar because they're one of the. There's only a couple people that really make this paint. Other people rebrand it and things like that. But Valspar is one of those. And when you go in to the top, when we go in the auto body place, he has just huge, giant books of color after color after color. Generally, you know, except maybe for a trim area, you want to kind of stay away from the pearls, stay away from the metallics. Those are a little more pricey. But basically with automotive and in polyurethane, there's two systems. You have what's called a single stage, which is how I ended up with an 80-ounce airplane.
Yep.
I bought a
two
single stage, and it was very nice. I put it on. I got a beautiful Sata gun, and it was like coming out like a mist. And I said, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be good." And I didn't put it on real heavy or anything like that, but just, you know, till I did paint it till it got opaque, like I would do with dope or what I'd used before. But single stage, they call it that because it already has the clear in it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The other type of polyurethane is what they call base coat, clear coat.
Yeah.
Now, base coat is a different, it's still polyurethane, but it is not shiny and it does not have any clear coat in it. So how I ended up with the 80-ounce airplane is I didn't know that single stage had clear in it. And so when I got done painting it, I came back and shot some clear, which is actually one of the heavier colors or lack of color in automotive polyurethane. Now, guys do a lot of different kind of stuff. I mean, you can buy these powders. Some guys will take a powder that you can buy at an auto body store, and they just mix it into the clear. And that's what they paint their plane with. Just clear with, you know, some type of tinning, or you can add enough to make it, you know, look solid. But from my understanding is that when you paint with, because we're considering trying some base coat, clear coat, because the base coat's a lot lighter, and then, you know, you don't have to use so much clear. But it's not shiny. It's just kind of satin kind of type color. But it's not as durable. So you have to be really careful if you're using a mask or when you're taping it and things like that. You have to use a lot of care to make sure that you don't rip the base coat when you go to pull your tape off or your mask off. So I don't know, but that's kind of the different types of polyurethanes. You can either use base coat, clear coat, or you can use single stage.
Yeah, the stuff this guy was doing was the base coat, clear coat.
Yeah.
That's 2K.
Now, what we found is that the mixture for Valspar is 3 parts of paint, 1 part of hardener, and then I think 1 part of reducer. So what we did is we don't need it that dense. So we reverse them. We use 3 parts of reducer, 1 part of paint, and 1 part of the hardener. And what that does for you is that the reducer, of course, a lot of it, you know, gases off. And so it weighs a lot less in the final analysis of it. You know, I don't know about when you first put it on, but within 24 hours, you've gassed off most all that reducer. And so you just can't paint with the mixture that you do with a car. Even if you put it on really fine, it's going to weigh a ton because it's too much paint 3 parts paint to 1 part reducer. So that's way too much paint, and it's way too heavy. Now the disadvantage of any of these is that, you know, you have to wear protection anytime you paint with any of this stuff. If you got a Tyvek suit, put that on. If you got something to cover your eyes, put that on. And if you have you should get a good respirator to keep from getting any of this stuff into your lungs or your eyes or anything like that. You know, for as long as you can stand it anyway. And then because those Tyvek suits are hot, you wear one of them for a while, you'd be sweat. I sweat like a pig. Yeah. You know, after about 10 minutes in one of those things. So, but there's a lot of different ways to go about it, I guess. But I hadn't heard. I've seen the polyester resin or polyester paint, but I don't really know much about it. I haven't really asked anybody about it.
Yeah, I was gonna.
What I did is I just posted a link on the chat section. It's pros and cons of every type of automotive paint that's on the market. It goes through everything from lacquers to polyurethane, single stage, double stage. So I put the link to that in the chat section.
Oh, thanks.
Copying it now, Peter. Okay.
Copy link address. Okay.
Ooh, that's some fancy paint jobs.
Hey, Jim, I had a question for you, Jim. When you are talking about putting the finishing resin, do you forego putting the fiberglass on the nose of the plane, or you still put the fiberglass on the nose of the plane?
Well, the way our tracer is set up, we use really thin plywood doublers, usually 16th inch. But I know a lot of guys that they don't even do that. So it, you know, it's just really hard to say.
I think 16th is too much.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of guys who don't put anything in there, but we're talking about an electric airplane.
True. Yeah, that's why.
Internal combustion airplane. I wouldn't try that just straight balsa wood sides up through the nose when you got a internal combustion engine in there.
The only thing the doublers do over there is to spread out the load from the motor a little bit, but the motor doesn't really vibrate that much. You know, has a little bit of torque to it, but that's about it. I mean, 1/64 plywood will work just fine, or for doublers in the nose. So,
hey, Cookie Monsters, it looks like you've been doing good.
He's eating, yeah.
I like your helper.
Yes.
Can I borrow that helper to make me some cookies too?
9 o'clock, so it's midnight on the East Coast. So I was going to end the stream, but we still have the after party. You know, we continue on, and sometimes we have more fun in the after party than during the regular live stream. And saying that, I want to encourage people who are tuning in to register at Stunthangar.com, so you can get the link, so you can come into the after party. And I want to thank everybody for watching us tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming in. I appreciate it immensely. And let's get together again Monday. You know, go back and do something fun and come back and tell us all about it. And until then, I will see you guys